Hi, everyone. Really nice to be here and to see so many familiar faces and names, and also a lot of folks I haven't met yet. So it's really great to have so many people on this call. If we haven't connected yet, my name is Kelly Swick. I'm the Conservation Portfolio Manager at San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance, based in San Diego, California. And for those who may not be familiar with our organization, we are a zoo based in downtown San Diego. We also have a safari park, which is located about 40 miles north of there in Escondido, California. But what a lot of people don't know is that we also have dozens and dozens of in situ projects that happen all over the world that we organize into what we refer to as our 8 global conservation hubs. And about 3 years ago, all of those projects we decided to adopt the conservation standards as our methodology for planning, adaptively managing, measuring the progress and impact of our work. So that is what I am privileged enough to do. I work with about 45 different teams that work all over the world on various conservation topics, so protecting and restoring biodiversity and community-based conservation, human-wildlife coexistence, on land, marine environments, just really great diverse teams. And I'm able to help them and coach them to apply the conservation standards to their work, put all of their work into Miradi, and on a quarterly basis, kind of review and revise and check our progress. So it's a lot of fun. We joined CMP a little bit over a year ago and have been really just loving the community, getting to connect and meet all of you. So I'm very happy to be here, and thanks so much for letting me host this webinar. We have a lot of topics today, so I'm just going to jump right in. For those who this may be the first meeting or are not familiar, the first half of this meeting is what's known as conservation in practice. So we'll hear from a few different speakers in a conservation technology showcase that will start in just a few minutes. The second half of the meeting is CMP, Conservation Measures Partnership Business. It is open to anyone, so you're welcome to stay and continue to listen in. We'll be introducing some new members and hearing a little bit about what their organizations do, as well as other topics. So I'm going to put the notes for the session in the chat. They've already been in there, but just in case anyone new has joined, it's like Jacqueline is on it, but I will just put them in there so you can follow along. It has our agenda, all of the speakers and resources are all linked there. And also, I just wanted to flag for folks that if you go to the bottom of the notes for today, there is a section where you can add in any updates. So we try to reserve a little bit of time at the end of the session for any community updates. So if there's anything you'd like to share, please feel free to put it in that notes document that I just shared, so that we can build in time to circle back to it towards the end of the meeting. So with that, like I said, a lot of great topics. I don't want to take up too much of the time. I'm going to pass it over to Claire to kick off the Conservation Technology Showcase. Thanks, Claire.
Great. Thanks so much, Kelly. Alrighty, you should also see in the chat that if you are looking for translations into pretty much any language, AI can do that for you if you click on the Wordly link that Jacqueline has shared in the chat. So if you're looking for that, you should find it in the chat. Let us know in the chat if you have any problems with that, and we'll try and assist you. I'm Claire Relton. My name is not CMP Webinars, David. I work for FOS, and I work as a coordinator for CMP. So today it's my privilege to introduce you to the Conservation Technology Showcase. And during this session, we've got 2 presentations. The first one will be an update from Adrian and Brian from the Miradi team, who's going to talk about what's new with Miradi. And the second will be an introduction to the capabilities and customization of CyberTracker from Justin Stevenson. So he's the co-founder of CyberTracker. And the theme for both of these presentations and the showcase overall is integration, because it's only through working together that we can hope to achieve greatness within the conservation sector. So before I share the link, I'm just going to introduce you to the Miro board we've got today. There's a lot on this Miro board, so I'm pretty sure the CMP community is pretty familiar with Miro, but if you need any help with regards to navigation, that is in the top left-hand corner. What we've got is a big block up here for Miradi. So as you listen to the Miradi presentation, feel free to add comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, insults for the Miradi team if you have any. They're open to anything. What we really are interested in finding out, though, is what is going well with your use of Miradi, what software integrations would be most useful for your work with Miradi, what would make your life easier when using Miradi in the context of the conservation standards, and any other key questions or comments for the team. Down at the bottom here, we've also got some links to some very useful resources. So you can get access to the Miradi Help Center. The Miradi Support YouTube channel is there for you to access. If you click on the top right-hand corner of any of these images, it'll take you to that link. And similarly, we've got a block up here for CyberTracker. So there's a bit of details. There's a link to the website. The key questions we're asking here are, what are the challenges you might be experiencing with field data collection that CyberTracker could help you with? What integrations would be most useful? What would make your life easier? And any other comments or questions you have for the team. Again, there are some useful resources here down at the bottom. So you can link to those by clicking on the top right-hand corner of those images as well. We'd also like to introduce you to this block over here to sign up if you're really interested in this presentation, really interested in using or customizing CyberTracker. We're hoping to host a more interactive and technical webinar for those people that are interested in the technicalities of things. So sign up here with your email address, your time zone, and your name if you'd like to join the upcoming technical webinar. And then down here, we've got a whole host of resources and links about other conservation softwares, including ArcGIS Online, EarthRanger, Marksan, QGIS, Smart, Power BI, Cobra Toolbox, and Survey 123. So if you're interested, have a look at these really useful resources we've pulled together for you. Overall, and to help CMP understand a few things, we've got some key questions for you here. The answers to these questions are going to help inform us in a number of areas within CMP. So we're working on some session presentations for the CMP CCNet Rally coming up next year. We're also launching a new project, which I'll talk about in the second half of the session today, which is called Comet. I'll talk about what that means, but it's really useful. It would be really useful for us to understand the answers to some of these questions. So which conservation software do you use most commonly within your conservation practice? Which other conservation technology and tools are you commonly using? You can also use these little +1s to show that a particular tool or technology or software is really popular. So you can add these little +1s. We'd also like to know in which steps of the conservation standard cycle are you integrating conservation technology? Which software integrations would make your life easier? And two more, what major challenges are you experiencing with field data collection? And anything else that you would like to ask the conservation standards community. So that's the Miro board for you. I'm going to pop the link, or I see there's a few people already, so the link is probably already in the chat. So feel free to have a look through that Miro board, ask questions, make comments as the presentations go on. Let me stop sharing my screen. There we go. Alrighty, and I'm going to hand over to Adrian, who's going to be doing our first presentation on Miradi for you. Go ahead, Adrian.
Thanks, Claire. All right, everyone. Thank you for giving me some time to share with you. I am probably the least qualified member of the Miradi team to be sharing these updates, so I will absolutely do my best to answer any questions. But I just wanted to take this opportunity to walk you through some of the things that have been going on with Miradi over the last year or so, And then I have been joined by Brian Knowles, who is going to give us an update on sort of what the new and exciting features to come are going to look like. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right. So as hopefully some of you have seen in our recent updates, Miradi has been going through a lot of changes. I wanted to start off by talking about something that happened way back in April, actually. There was, oh no, hold on, I lost my place in my notes. I can't do it alone. Okay, here we are. So back in April, there was a big effort within Miradi to update the navigation within the software. And responding to user feedback, we wanted to make the website easier to navigate. We wanted to improve discoverability. So when you're looking for your projects and programs and trying to find the different features, that they would be easier to find. And just wanted to improve general cohesiveness within the website. So a lot of you have probably seen this before if you have been working in Miradi, which is great. But for those of you who haven't, wanted to kind of walk you through some of the changes and updates. And Brian, I invite you at literally any point to jump in and highlight features here.
Will do.
Okay, so one of the first things I'm going to show you are the new navigation tabs. Oh, and before I do that, actually, I want to highlight that in the notes that have been shared already multiple times, there are links to Help Center articles for almost every one of the new features that we're showing here. So if you just vaguely remember that we've mentioned it, but want to find out more, you can check out those Help Center links. So one of the new things here is that we have changed, oh, I didn't actually get into a project. We have changed the navigation tabs a little bit, which has hopefully helped you find things better. Sorry, I have too many programs here. I'll just pick one that I actually have full access to. So you may have noticed that some of these tabs at the top of your projects and programs have changed a little bit over the last few months, hopefully giving you a clearer sense of what should be under each of these high-level tabs, but also allowing you to find all of the different features that Miradi has available. The one that I really want to highlight here is the Actions tab. So Actions is now work planning. This used to be Actions, now it's work planning. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this in Brian's section, but this is the tab where we will be adding a bunch of new work planning features in the future. So just wanted to highlight in particular that one has changed. And in the program space, you'll notice that there's a new projects tab here. So it's much easier to find all of the projects that you have listed within any given program. Another thing worth noting here is that in order to increase the cohesion of the whole website, we have added a lot more links between different spaces in Miradi. So there are hyperlinks if you're looking at your home navigation page for a project. You'll notice that there are links at the top right corner that take you to different places within the project, so you don't have to navigate between the tabs if you're not quite sure where you're going. We've realized that almost no one who uses Miradi knows about everything, all of the features that are available, including myself. And so these little navigation tabs are really helpful for figuring out where you need to go. Another feature here to highlight is the people and group space. And this is a space where we're trying to make it really clear that there are two different user group or different types of people that you might want to capture in Miradi. So the first one is the Miradi access group. And these are the folks who are actually going to be able to see the project, perhaps add information or data depending on what level of access you get them. But these are your actual Miradi users. And then we also have added this other space, the team and partner space, where you can add people for the work plan. So not all of the people that you want to talk about or who are going to be involved in the project might use Miradi, but you can still create a person for them in Miradi, which is going to be really helpful in these new work planning sections that are coming up. Pause there, and I'm not seeing any hands. Do feel free to put up your hand if you have a question about anything I'm going over. All right, just a couple more things here. So then some of you have also maybe noticed the new admin space. So this is a really helpful tool for those of you who are admins in your project or programs. So this space is grayed. This tab will be grayed out for anyone who doesn't have proper user permissions. But for those of you who are project or program admins, these are all the features, all the controls that you can use to control access to your different projects and programs. So it's useful to kind of click here and understand who has access to what. It gives you a space to check out the highlights and also control the custom data views and the bulk import features. And I guess finally, we are just generally in the website or with our users looking for ways to better communicate with our users. So hopefully some of you have been seeing the new updates and mail services that we've been getting. So our goal here is to keep people in the loop better. Communicate what's going on, what's new, and also provide some tips and tricks as you get familiar with those new features. Along those lines, actually, I don't have one, so I can't show you, but there are, you'll notice when we do add a new feature, there are often these little green bubbles that will pop up that says new. So we're trying to highlight as we do make those updates so that folks can find them better. Okay, I also wanted to show you really quickly. I'm sorry, I'm flying through this because I want to give Brian the bulk of the time to talk about what's coming up here. But I wanted to show you some of the new bulk import features that are really exciting, that our users are really excited about. So bulk import is, we've had a lot of requests to be able to update similar types of data at the same time. So if you want to capture progress updates on a certain number of activities, or you want to update metrics or measurements for indicators. One way to do that en masse is to use this bulk import feature. And so if you are, again, a project or a program admin, you can come to this space and Miradi will give you a list of all of the things that you can update en masse. And it's a really easy feature to use. And you can see here the green bubbles I was talking about with the new features. So if you select the type of factor that you want to update, Miradi will give you access to these spreadsheets. So there's a spreadsheet for adding new activities, but also for updating existing activities. And by simply clicking on that link, the form will download. So I'll just show you really quickly. It opens in Excel and then, oh no. I swear it worked this morning when I tested it. So I'm not going to waste time trying to show this to you, but it downloads an Excel spreadsheet with columns that you can then update with the data, and then you just import that data right back into Miradi, and it will en masse update whatever type of strategy whatever type of factor you've updated. There are some tips and tricks to this. So if you do use this feature, be sure to check out the help desk article before you do it so you know which columns to edit and which ones not to edit. Next up, we have single sign-on. So for those of you in larger organizations, this is a feature that might be of interest. Single sign-on is an opportunity for you to link your email domain directly to your Miradi account. So all you have to do is have your folks use their email and type in their email address, and it will automatically sign them into Miradi. So if this is a feature that you would be interested in, there is a small fee associated with it. But reach out to the Miradi team and we'd be happy to explore setting up single sign-on for your organization. And then last but not
just to comment on that one, a big benefit of
Please.
that is to meet organizational security requirements that are more and more common now, where the IT departments want better control over these types of logins. So it gives your IT group more control.
Yes, thank you. That is helpful.
Yes, even for government. Yes.
And we at FOS have been testing it and it's been working great. So highly recommend. And then finally, the last one before I hand it fully over to Brian here is just an update that the new threats classifications are available. They will not update automatically if you already have your threats tagged in your diagrams, but you can do it manually. And if enough folks express interest, we might be able to build a feature where that's another sort of bulk update, bulk import feature that we could build into the system. So I think that's it, unless folks have questions, in which case I can, like I said, do my best to answer them. And if not, then I will hand it over to Brian to talk about the upcoming features.
Thank you. Share my screen here. So we have two main features I want to highlight today that we've developed some project definitions for, and we're looking for both sponsorship and also insight into how people might want to best use these features. As many of you probably know, Miradi has both this online view, online tool set that Adrian was just working through. We also have the tried and true Miradi desktop, which lets you do a lot of the same things at the project level. One of the things that you can't do online, haven't been able to do online, is detailed work planning. So for teams that are getting deeply into implementation and trying to plan out budgets, plan out working plans for people, teams have to go to Miradi desktop right now to do that detailed level of planning. That works. It's just not as seamless as if we had this feature online. And so this project is to bring a first phase of more detailed work planning to Miradi Share online to let teams be able to coordinate across their program, across their projects, who's going to be doing what when, and adding that up into budgeting to a budgeting process and lining it up with funding sources. So we have this project definition here. I linked to it in the notes. The project overview gives you some more details here about what we're talking about doing in this first phase. And our objectives with this phase are to develop a constrained view for work planning. They can get very complex, so we're trying to bring it into a more streamlined presentation online to make it easy for teams to update work plans. We also want to be able to allow export of work plans. So if you are going into a management meeting and you've got to pitch your budget for the year or for the quarter, you could do a quick export of that data in a nice Excel spreadsheet and share that with management. We want to improve the overall user experience for work planning. We went through a big enhancement of work planning 6 years ago in desktop, and that made some improvements, but we know there are more improvements to simplify how it works that we can do online now. And then we also want it to streamline with existing workflows in Miradi and the features that are there, like Adrian was showing, building your team up. Like, so you build your team and partners up, and then those folks automatically can be fed into your work planning process, and those things are connected online. So just a little bit of a comment on these projects. Like I mentioned, we're looking for groups who see a lot of value in this and are excited about this kind of a new feature. So we're looking for both sponsorship of these features and also more details, like how are you using work planning today? Where does it fall short for you? Where is it complex? Yeah, how does your workflow in your organization sync up with this work planning? What data is most important for you to see in a work plan, that kind of thing. So if you have any interest in this feature, if this is exciting, please reach out to me or the Miradi team. So for the work planning project, we've done a mock-up. This is a prototype of how this might work. And I have the clickable regions. The green part is just to remind me where you can click on this. So the idea here is you can configure work plan views for your project, for your program. And if you click on here, you can see all the different work plan views that are configured. So perhaps you have a near-term current fiscal year view for planning where you want everybody to plan by quarter. And then you have a 5-year forecast that you want everybody to plan at the year level. So we want to be able to allow you to configure this to work best for your workflows. So you can pick that. We will have a display for assignments. So these are the actual people, the team members or organizations that are going to be working, putting hours in on on advancing your results chain. We also will have an expenses view where you can put in any third-party expenses that you need to track as part of your work plan. And then the idea here is you'll be able to configure this for like fiscal year, and we want to plan by for this next fiscal year and do it by quarter, or for the next quarter, do it by month, or et cetera, as I explained. And then this would show your strategy and activity, your actions basically over here in this tree. And you can use the tools to add assignments, select people who you want to participate in on this particular activity. You can set a leader and go ahead and save that. Get them into the list here, and then very easily come in and set how many work units, how many days, hours, whatever granularity you're going to manage your work at. And then the idea here is this rolls up. So the light gray are areas you can edit. So you can change this to like a 5. Again, this is just a very simple mock-up, so it's not fully enabled yet, but you could change that to a 5, and that would change your overall activity effort that you're going to work on to 9 instead of 7. And then you can see at the strategy level, you can get the roll up there as well. And then another cool feature that we want to add are actually putting the progress reports right in here, so you can see how you're doing with your progress reports. So it's another way to link progress reporting into work planning, so you know maybe where you need to invest a little extra effort. And then we're also contemplating a way to track comments about the work plan. So maybe you're in a planning session, you have some comments, some assumptions that went into this plan. You want to document that here. So we're trying to figure out how to introduce that kind of thing here. There's also a whole manage area I won't get into. That's how you set these things up. But if anyone's interested, I can give more details on how that might go. So right now, Bush Heritage has provided a lot of insight into how this should work, provided an initial specification of how they think about work planning. They've been doing it for a long time. We've talked to a few other groups looking for other input, other feedback before we get started on this feature. Any questions, thoughts?
Brian, just a quick question. When do you think that this work planning in online will be ready to sort of play with or test?
Don't know exactly yet. We're hoping sometime early next year. Still lining up the budget to do this work, and also making sure we have the right set of stakeholders involved to help us make sure it's successful.
Thanks.
All right, how are we doing on time? How much time do I have?
I think we have like 3 minutes left.
3 minutes. Okay, I'll go quickly through this next one. This one's really cool, a bit geeky, so sorry for all the technical jargon in it, but I'll try to keep it a high level. So Robbie Still at Kent Wildlife Trust is what I would call a power user of Miradi. They're using it for all kinds of aspects of the work that they do in their organization. And he and his technical team have gone through and really leveraged some of the deep technical internals of Miradi to adjust it to their workflows. It's impressive work. We have a video about that work. I won't present it here, but it's linked to here in this project proposal that we've put together. So what they're using is what we call a read-only Miradi API. An API is a way that you can automate getting data in and out of systems and do these kinds of system integrations to automate things for your organization. So you don't have to go manually move data from one tool to another. And right now in Miradi, we've provided a read-only API. You could read data out of Miradi, but you can't write data back to it from another system. So we developed this API a number of years ago to integrate with Power BI for doing dashboards and the like. You may have seen some of those through the years. So Robbie's proposal to us was, hey, I've developed this really cool streamlined interactive reporting website that our management uses to look at how we're progressing against our results chains. I would love to be able to capture progress and write that back to Miradi right through that same tool. And so that'd be a very nice way for their users to, within the workflow of reviewing progress, also updating progress without having to go dive into Miradi and go through all the details to get to where they need to update that data. They could do it right from their reporting tool. So that's the gist of this one. It's a deepening our ability to integrate into organizational workflows that you might have. So the idea here is you could update progress reports, measurement data from external systems to update Miradi, keep it up to date with how you're doing on progress. So the objectives here would be to develop this API that complements our current API. We would allow for the integration then, like I said, of those updates into external workflows if you have another system that's helping you do that already. It would reduce manual intervention and follow-ups during the progress reporting process, and then enable more seamless integration with external web app systems. So again, kind of geeky, but you can tell I'm kind of excited about it.
Awesome. Thank you for taking the lead on the looking forward piece, Brian. I will also highlight, I know we're out of time here, that we do have a little video. We were overly ambitious with today's agenda, but Kent Wildlife Trust is using the getting Miradi out of data in really cool ways. And so we uploaded a little video that's available in the notes there for you to check out some of the cool reporting that they're doing.
Brilliant. Thank you, Miradi team. Please feel free to add comments, questions to the chat and to the Miro board. I'm putting the link to the Miro board in the chat again. And Justin, I'm going to hand over to you.
Hi, folks. Did the sharing screen work? Looks like it did.
Yep, yeah, got it.
Hi, folks. I'm Justin Stevenson. I'm going to talk a little bit about data collection in the conservation space and focus on CyberTracker, which is a tool that I've built over a long period of time. By the way, the screen here on the left, we have the presentation. On the right is pretty much what our mobile application looks like, and you can download this today from the iOS or Android stores. So what is CyberTracker? For those of you who don't know, it's a data capture application for mobile, and we've been around for quite some time. You can see the image here is on a device that really predates modern cell phones. So, but we still, have obviously advanced to the point where we're working on the latest and greatest. It's a free tool, and it's largely supported through partnerships, donors, that kind of thing. People sometimes have a specific project and they fund a feature, and then it becomes available for everybody. This is from our latest telemetry data, so it's quite widely used. If you get the link, you can actually drill down. It's at the city level. This is only for online sites, so obviously it's a tool also for offline data capture. And so we don't have some of the sites in of, wider range of areas, but this is just online. So it's quite considerable how much usage there is. So why did we build CyberTracker? What's the point? Well, originally we had this idea that we needed a system for data collection and conservation, specifically for indigenous trackers. But more recently, it's evolved a bit, and currently we have sort of two big concepts. The first involves this problem where there are just so many of these tools available. If you do a Google search today, my goodness, you'll find so many different systems. And it's kind of hard to figure out which one to get or which one you should use, because the cost of choosing the wrong one is very high. Similarly, the choice involves the backend and the mobile device. So if you like the mobile client, you have to also like the backend, and vice versa. And traditionally, these kinds of technology choices are things that happen in at the CTO level in companies. So to expect people to be able to generally make good trade-off-like decisions on technology choosing, I think is a bridge too far sometimes. Then the next concept is that conservation is a bit special and has a number of requirements that are not broadly shared. So there's the obvious one around something like offline usage, where you may even need to get data off the device through wire instead of online connection. But there are actually a number of these kinds of requirements, especially around the user experience, which we're interested in focusing on. Similarly, of course, a trend towards community-led data capture means that if you want your community members to use your tech, it's going to have to be something that they are actually able to use. So this is where we introduce our first approach, which is that of a universal data collector. So what you see here is that we have a single mobile application which connects directly to several different kinds of backends and provides a way for all of them to communicate, for a single handheld application to communicate with all of them, download the forms, and upload data. And that means that people really only need to worry about one app, and they can do things like on Monday, they can enter smart data, on Tuesday, Kobo data for a social survey, and so on. And the second solution is that we have a lot of we've done a lot of work around the notion of customization, and the applications can really look like almost anything. And this is hopefully to try and head off some of the need for individual groups to create their own applications. If instead of having to build their own apps, then they can, to some extent, just reuse this technology and build these kind of mini applets that will then just light up all these features with very low cost. So I'll start off with a fairly straightforward demo just to give you a sense of how the whole thing works. We'll begin with Survey123. For those of you who don't know, Survey123 is Esri's primary data collection system. And you start by creating a form. And here I've created pretty much the simplest form you can imagine. It asks for an animal name, a behavior, and a location. So very, very simple. You publish this form, and then you can go to CyberTracker and connect to it and collect data. So what I'll do over here is I'll go to the mobile app on the right. I'll say plus to create a new project. And you see all the connections. You can select Survey123. I'll connect to my account. And you'll see here's animal survey that I previously published. I'll just click yes. And it'll download that form, or that survey, I should say. And here it is, animal survey. So I'll click on animal survey. Then I'll click new in the bottom right to create a new observation. And it'll ask me what I saw. So I'll just say lion sleeping. And then click next. It'll take a GPS location. Obviously, this is just simulated. And then I say save. And there's the observation. Imagine we're still offline. And when we get back into an online state, we click submit. And you'll see then it'll disappear here. And then we go over here and we click on the data tab. And you'll see the sleeping lion that we just entered along with its location. So what you just saw was sort of the round trip, decide what to collect, and then send it up for reporting. The second demo is just a little bit of a view into some of the flexibility that we have with CyberTracker in terms of how data can be collected. So before you just saw more or less like a one question per screen kind of view. And this is actually quite a common type of UI paradigm. What you do is every question is one page. People can't easily get confused. And so, for example, if I say new here, it's going to ask one question per page, something like that. And if you keep going next, eventually you get to the end. And then you see this turns into a save button, and I'll click save, and that's one observation. But another thing you can do is you can click on the settings here and change page mode, turn it off. And now you go into something called form mode. And form mode is just more like a regular form that you would fill out. So you say new, and you can see all of the different questions right at the front. So I'll just say activity I wanted to specify, maybe age, maybe animal, whatever. And you can do any of these in any order. And then when you're done, again, it gives you the observation. So just a demonstration of two different ways to collect data. And you can certainly imagine different users with different requirements being in the field. And, some people prefer one or the other. The next feature is quite special because it's not something that is available right now on other systems. And the idea is track logging, so GPS track logging. So what I have here for this demo is a simple application created in Kobo. And the only change I made to the form in Kobo was I added a file field or a file question. That's all I did. And now within this application, you can click on settings and you can say track file output, and I can say track log, which is the name of the question. I'm going to leave it in the track format KMZ, which is a Google format, and I'll set that at 5 seconds. And now you'll notice there's a bar here with a location, so I'll just activate it. And now the track is running at this point. And at some point, this will say it's logging, and I can click on the map. And you'll see there the track has started, and every 5 seconds it's going to take a new point, and it'll follow me. I can now turn the track off, and you'll see it's captured a track right there. That's the track, and I can submit it to the back end. There it's gone off, and now within Kobo, I'll simply refresh. Looks like okay, it looks like the error was not something I did. And you can see now the track log question has been populated with this file, which I can open. And it opens it in Google Earth, and presto, we can see that the track that we just collected is now here. You can even click on a point and see things like the direction, speed, and whatnot. So it was very simple for me to create a track that is, now just part of how your general form works. Oh, by the way, on that score, it's also something that's supported for Survey 123, where instead of a single file, it's actually a service, a feature service, so it can upload tracks to a feature service as well, if that's what you're doing. The next topic is save targets. So this is the point of this is to solve a class of problems where, in many types of data capture, you may fill a form out just a few times a day. But in wildlife conservation especially, one tends to, you may have to do many, many observations. Some of our trackers are doing something like 300 a day. And for that, you need features that are helpful for repetitive data capture. And one of those things is called save targets. So if save target says, hey, I only have to enter my metadata once, in this case, I just have name. And then even within the application, I can specify these little loops, which allow me to repeat observations with all the prior data saved. So the easiest way to help you understand this is for a little demo. So I'll click on my save targets here, and I'll click new. And now I'll just enter my name, and we'll call this metadata. And we remember we don't want the metadata to have to be entered multiple times. So I'll just enter it once. And then I'll say for an animal, say leopard. And I'll just say eating, and then save. Now I get this little pop-up, and the pop-up tells me, obviously all this is customizable again, but in this case, I give a new animal, new behavior. And so I'm just want to keep logging the leopard. So I'll say new behavior. This time it's sleeping, new behavior. This time it's walking, and so on. And when I'm done with the leopard, I might say, oh, this time I'll hit the buffalo, and the buffalo is jumping, something like that. And now I'll say home. And what you can see is that I entered 3 activities for the leopard and 1 for buffalo. But when I did the leopard observations, the only thing I really had to enter was the activity or the behavior that it was doing. I didn't have to enter the prior 2 steps. And so this means that people can be much more efficient in the field when they're collecting data. This one is kind of a bit of visual stuff. One of the things we found with data collection is that when you go into the field, a lot of the data that you enter is lists, and scrolling up and down lists is very inefficient because wherever you are on the list is usually not where you want to be, and it's very hard to get muscle memory working like that. So we have a lot of different grid styles in terms of the single select. With search, you can change the way it looks to have simpler views. In all cases, you can have as many columns as you want. And similarly with multiple select, and we have this inlay style to help you get as many things on the screen as you can. Similarly here. And then here we have a situation where we've actually removed the frame entirely to get a bit of a cleaner look. Same thing for multi-select. Numbers in a column, so you can specify, maybe it can be a little bit easier than having to enter numbers. And then this is a a very like CyberTracker specific control where you can enter numbers. Usually we use this for things like number of males, females, juveniles, that kinds of things. But just a very simple way to enter a lot of counting type things. And then we also have grid photos and so on. So lots of grid styles, and that can really make a big difference to how quickly and accurately data can be entered. So the last application is just a little thing that I put together in about an afternoon. I have a dog. I like walking my dog, and I thought, hey, wouldn't it be nice if we have an application which just logs the path I take with my dog. And the whole point of this is to address this problem of, finding yourself in a situation where you have a very specific need for data capture with a very specific protocol. And it can be so different that you might think, oh, the only way I'm going to be able to get this protocol mapped to a good application is to build my own app. And that comes with a whole host of problems related to software development and constantly being updated and bugs and things of that kind. Whereas if you can build a little widget essentially inside CyberTracker, and you can get your data to your Survey123 backend, and or whatever backend you choose, you can get a lot done very quickly. So here's my application, doglog, and I'll just say new walk. And this is just a UI I whipped together quickly. It's not super awesome, but it gets the job done. But here I have like a timeline control kind of thing. You can see the walk started. I can enter, notes, whatever, as I go. And I can even take pictures of things that I've done. Switch the video back on. And you can see also here, it's this whole time it's taking the track of where I've gone. So at the end, I can just say stop and then upload. And that has just uploaded it to a Survey123 backend. And I'll click over here and I'll refresh. And there's the walk I just went on with my dog. So, and if I click on it, you can actually get, let's see. Yeah, you can see the stuff that I did, and it also includes the picture. So with really not a lot of effort, I got an application that is very custom for a specific need, and it works on iOS and Android, and it leverages pretty much all the same technology that has been developed for conservation over a long period of time. So there's no real demo here, just to say that we have a lot of there's a lot of technology under the hood. So for example, you can have full offline maps in the field. You can even see heat maps of where you've been. All map projections are handled. You can dark mode. I mean, the list of features is quite extensive. And so, yeah, it's a fully modern app. You get a lot of stuff goes along for the ride there. A lot of this work, I just want a quick shout out to the funders and partners we've had over the years. It's quite a lot, lots of people as individuals, not mentioned here, but the big organizations are all fully supportive and on board here. And we're very thankful for that. Let's see. Yeah, and of course, all the usual links to get a hold of us. And please use the Miro board if you have any specific feedback. As Claire had said, we are thinking about a webinar if there's enough interest in that. But the gist would be, if you're looking to build a custom application or you'd like to learn more about how this works, then just reach out. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Justin. Any questions, comments for Justin? Lots of support in the chat.
Just to say, Justin, that was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I'll encourage you, as you think as you think through all of this, please do add comments, thoughts, suggestions to the Miro board, and please do sign up if you'd like to attend our more technical and interactive webinar. Alrighty, I'm handing back to you, Kelly, and you might hand straight back to me.
All right, thanks so much, everyone. Thanks, Claire, and to all of our presenters in the technology showcase. It was really great to see those developments. As someone who lives in Miradi, always nice to see the updates and to see what's coming down the pipeline. So thank you so much to everyone. We are now going to transition more into the CMP business. I do encourage, if you have extra few minutes, if you were on for the showcase, if you can stay on. We're going to hear from two new members who are joining us, are going to give a little bit of background information on their organization. So we're going to hear from Kent Wildlife Trust and Conservation X Labs. So yeah, I will pass it back to you, Claire.
Great. So excitingly, if you were on our previous CMP quarterly call, you would know that we welcomed two new members to our CMP community. So Caitlin, I'm going to hand over to you first to just give us a brief overview and update of what Kent Wildlife Trust is doing, particularly with regards to the conservation standards. So over to you.
Hi, yeah, I'm Caitlin. For those of you I haven't met, and I'm going to try and share my screen here. We've got a few slides. All right. Okay, so like Claire said, I work at Kent Wildlife Trust, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how we use the conservation standards, and we're very happy to now be official members of the CMP. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the wildlife trusts, there are 46 of them, and they loosely represent the counties of the UK. And Kent is the blue filled in one in the bottom corner there. It's the closest county to France. It's famous for the White Cliffs of Dover. We have Canterbury as well, so the Canterbury Tales. We have a lot of hops, so we make a lot of beer in Kent. And with climate change, there's now a lot of wine as well, so no downside to visiting, honestly. It's been historically called the Garden of England. I think Henry VIII may have called it that. So yeah, that's a little overview of where we are. So Kent Wildlife Trust has about 100 staff members. We have over 32,000 members, and our main goals are to have a climate resilient place and abundant wildlife, and we also want to engage a lot of people in Kent. We manage over 80 nature reserves. We have species reintroductions. We reintroduced the chough, which is like a fancy crow. It's a crow with red legs and a red beak. And we're looking at reintroducing other species as well. And we do a lot of landscape recovery projects too. So that's a little background on us. The team, who you will see more, Robbie already got his shout out. I am not as techy as Robbie, so I will defer questions on tech to him when he's around. We also have Ashley Forey, who has worked with the conservation standards in Australia, so some people might know her already. And then there's myself, I'm Caitlin, and I'm the project impact manager at Kent Wildlife Trust. So what we have is the project management framework. I'm manager of that, and you're probably recognizing what this looks like. It is essentially the conservation standards. The only difference being that we have step 0 proposed, which is essentially the pre-planning section. And we follow this with all of our departments as well as all of our projects. So there's a lot going on. And we started this about 3 years ago. It was started by Alicia Barker-Davies, who you probably know as well. She's still around at Kent Wildlife Trust. She's just also working with the government. So she's not in our team anymore. The only reason I have this slide here is to show that all of our departments have their own theories of change. Some of them have multiple, just depending on what they're working on. So we're putting the whole organization through this process, and that includes finance and HR and so on. I just wanted to highlight that steps 0 to 2, so that propose to plan, go through a formal process where they finish that step, They go to our directors and our heads of, and they present that, and then we do an impact versus feasibility quick little chat, and it either gets approved to go to the next step, or they have to work on stuff and come back, or maybe, you know, we get rid of that project altogether. So the conservation standards are kind of coming through, and even our prioritization at the organization. Finally, this was already mentioned, the reporting that we do. So Robbie has made some beautiful reports using Miradi, and for our trust, we report every 6 months now. Everybody goes into Miradi, all the strategy leads, and they update what they're working on, and then this is shared with the entire trust. So we've got really transparent reporting now, thanks to Miradi and thanks to this process. And it just keeps getting better, to be honest. And it sounds like there's going to be even more and better improvements in that section. So yeah, very exciting. Yeah, so that was just a really quick intro to Kent Wildlife Trust. And again, super happy to be members, and please reach out if you're at all interested in what we're working on.
Fantastic. Thanks, Caitlin. Any questions, comments for Caitlin? All right. Daphne, I'm going to hand over to you.
Wonderful. I will also share my screen. And Caitlin, I'd love to, maybe talk sometime about what it's like to join CMP. And we are also starting the integration of the conservation standards. I'd love to exchange experiences. Can you all see the screen?
It's coming, yes. Yep,
Wonderful.
got it.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Daphne Yin, and I am the Director of Impact at Conservation X Labs. We're a nonprofit based in DC, and we focus on the intersection of conservation, technology, and innovation. And like others in the CMP community, we're really working toward preventing that sixth mass extinction from happening. We have a lot of programming related to development of technology, especially for wildlife monitoring. We also have been trying to expand the community of conservationists to include solvers from adjacent sectors. And we have quite a lot of programming focused on leveraging the marketplace to address drivers for environmental degradation. This is just a quick overview. Our team is about 40 people right now, and we have our core team based in the US, but also a very active team in Peru, as well as in Central Asia, especially in Turkmenistan and Kyrgyzstan. And on this map, you can just see some of the other regions in which we have active deployments of our technology or are holding open innovation challenges and have collaborations with other organizations. Our field-based conservation, so kind of the more place-based protected areas management and OECM work, is primarily in Central Asia. We just joined CMP this summer, and I actually joined CXL in January of this year. And so it's been a pretty rapid onboarding process, but I really wanted our organization to join CMP to really have an anchor in terms of applying the conservation standards. And so in my time so far, I have developed theories of change across the different programs, and in some cases, more detailed theories of change for individual use cases. It's been really actually quite interesting to do that for the open innovation and technology groups, because I think traditionally they have not necessarily liked or been familiar with theories of change. So that's been a very kind of fascinating area to apply it to. And then we've been integrating the different steps across the conservation standards in a stepwise way. So it's still, I would say, a pretty intense journey to fully get there. And I'd love examples if there are members here who have worked in more of the innovation and tech space to really understand how we mainstream adoption. I've also been developing an impact dashboard. I would really love for us to use Miradi. We have a trial version and also a couple of team members who have used Miradi before, but I still need a little bit of more buy-in before we can really roll it out across the whole organization. Nick Salafsi had presented to our team about the scaling framework, and that is really
resonating with the team. So we're also looking at applying that potentially. And then with the updates to the conservation standards, I've been active in the climate change and technology working group so far. Really excited to engage more with everyone. And I just put my contact information here together with the contact info for Nitin, who leads our alternative proteins work. And in the past, he had worked with CMP while he was working on with USAID, I think on it was the Measuring Success or Measuring Impact project. So in this year, we've actually been doing a lot of kind of heads down work on updating our strategy. And so I wanted to quickly share with you our key impact areas. And so the first, which you see at the top, is really about driving nature positive economic transformation. And we are working on this globally, but probably most relevant is to talk about the work in the Amazon, where we've been working on supporting through open innovation, as well as other work on the side, the development of new replacements for food, feed, fiber, and materials. So really trying to support the development of more sustainable supply chains in the Amazon. And Nitin, who I mentioned on the previous slide, he's working on a portfolio of work on alternative proteins in particular. We've also been working on other issue areas like microfiber pollution, wildfire, everything kind of under the sun. And then the second piece is really on human and planetary health. And this is where we would actually really welcome new partnerships and really trying to strengthen the link between landscape immunity and human health to prevent zoonotic spillover, and using that link as a stronger rationale to bring in more funding from public health. The third area that we work in is really leveraging technology for ecosystem protection. And so with the 30 by 30 goals, we're really using our technologies on wildlife monitoring to support strengthening the capacity for monitoring, for decision-making in protected areas. And it was really exciting to hear about the work on CyberTracker. And I don't have a tech background, but I'd be curious to see if there would be ways to kind of integrate that with some of the work that we're doing on animal re-ID, for example, and real-time wildlife monitoring. And then the last area where we have work is really activating the next generation of conservationists. We have so much still to do, and so it's important that we expand and mainstream the sector of conservation. In the open innovation work that we've been doing in particular, we've seen folks coming in from the energy sector, tech sector, health sector, and it's encouraging to see that we're gaining some momentum there and bringing in new solutions and new geographies and disciplines. Since today was the tech showcase, I just want to briefly mention Sentinel, which is essentially a way to upgrade camera trap solutions. And so it's bringing kind of real-time AI-assisted technology to enhancing response time, reducing the time that's needed to really have protected area management, including rangers, researchers, understand how animals or other I think we're just doing animals right now, but how animals are doing, tracking their behavior, tracking population count. And in some cases, we're also using it to detect invasive species to support invasive removal efforts. So that classic theory of change in Miradi on rats on islands was really resonating with our team. We also have an area of work with WildMe, where we're using AI to actually do individual animal re-ID. So really being able to detect individuals beyond just detecting species. And this has informed more rapid population assessments, which are really critical for informing management plans and also identifying new migratory corridors for protection. WildMe also has some work on Scout, which is used to really make aerial surveys for terrestrial and marine areas more efficient. And then finally, we also have a technology called Nabbit, which is really making genetic diagnostics more accessible, even without a lab, for non-specialists to be able to use genetic tests through eDNA or other genetic testing to really understand if there are, let's say, emerging diseases or detecting the presence of particular species that are priority for conservation. Currently, we are working on a really interesting case on the western coast of the US on salmonid recovery with the decommissioning of the Klamath Dam, just as an example. And then very quickly, we also run these open innovation challenges. So we've completed about 19 of those over our existence. They have been on a variety of different problem areas. And so if there are ever kind of key problem areas where the conservation community finds that existing solutions are not enough and we need new brains and new ideas, open innovation is a way we can bring some creative solutions to play. And the solutions that we've supported have gone on to raise follow-on funding of 550 million. And we're still following these to really understand how they scale. And that's where the theories of change become really useful. And I will stop there. Thank you so much. I would love to stay in touch. And if people have ideas on ways to use our technology, or they're curious to share their own experience with adopting the conservation standards, I'd love to talk more.